nonsense keeps up. Just take a good hard look at what happened to Kirk, and maybe you'll think twice. What? So I never do this. I mean, never do this. I already filmed an intro. I filmed this entire thing, and I had myself set up to cover this story, which you guys saw a few weeks ago about how Bill Barr's daughter sent these texts, and they wanted Candace Owens blackmailed. Okay, we'll go over that again. But a news story came out, which not only validated that this was real, but also had a very specific, life-threatening text that was, or a message that was sent to Candace Owens' security, apparently, or someone. And when you see this, I'm refilming the whole thing because I thought we were talking about blackmail. I filmed the whole thing about blackmail, and then when I saw the actual message, maybe I'll include my first reaction to seeing it, because I'm literally refilming the entire segment now because it's that crazy. So, they're 100%. They're just like, we're going to kill you. Okay. This is not some like cloaked mask guy that's all open her sternum to pelvis. This is like, here, plain English. Here's who I am. Here's what I'm saying. You better tell her. Okay. It is wild. Okay. This is insane. So we're just going to get right into it. After that, we're going to go through something that she said in their show yesterday about a little, undercover, what do you call it? Like operation that had a very interesting name. And between the first story I just laid out and the next story with the weird name and a current member of the administration who might be running the FBI, his reaction to both of these things has now made me very suspicious of him. Okay? Straight up. I'm just going to say that right now. So we're going to get into that. And then the last story I had, let me just double check. I don't even remember. That one was so bananas. Oh, yeah. And then it had to do with Charlie Kirk's involvement in the Brigitte Macron thing. Okay? Maybe this is all connected, actually, now that I know what this is. Okay, so check this out. Right? Oh, by the way, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And definitely like this video. And definitely send this to every person that you've ever met because this is that wild. Okay? So, first of all, okay, following our report, this is Project Veritas, following our reporting about corruption linked to Armstrong Williams, including operating an alleged visa scheme with former AG Bill Barr, FBI Director Cash failed to respond to our multiple comment requests and instead granted an exclusive interview to Armstrong Williams, the person in this story. Okay. So this is the first thing that happened. This was on my birthday, November 23rd. Okay. So this is the original post. Candace has been the target of the government for years. Quote, we need to blackmail her, Candace, faster. Mary Barr Daly, former senior DOJ official, daughter of former AG Bill Barr. So you can see this text message right here. Hi, I need you to start working on the blanked out and Candace Owens case. Okay, my theory on this is that is RFK because it's blanked out and it's very long. And then you can see right here, it's short, right? It's like, so I just, I have no idea, but I was just thinking maybe it's like, Robert F. Kennedy and then RFK, right? So Armstrong will give you the commands. You guys remember Armstrong from a second ago, right? They're saying he's the one who's involved in this, right? Armstrong will give you the commands, but we need to focus on Black and whoever this short person, which I believe might be that, I don't know. Work with Armstrong on this. Send some underage girls to secure him. He's an easy target. Okay. Now, if this is RFK listen, you're not going to convince me that guy is going to knowingly put hands on a young girl. So I would guess you find the oldest looking 16-year-old on the history of the world, and then you dress her up to look even more old and make her look like she's 25, honeypot him, film it, done. Right. Work with Armstrong. Well, and again, I'm not saying that he would cheat on his wife either. I'm just saying I'm trying to say this as a compliment. I have 100% faith in that guy's character. I mean, listen, dude, like people who are loose on, girls throwing themselves at him, like that's, I don't know. I'm just saying, I love RFK. I would have voted for him for president and still would. Okay. But he says, so then it says the harder one is Candace because she's very resistant. Gather the group to come up with a good strategy, but don't waste time. for whatever, it would be good to have something we could use to put him in jail. Again, I'm not even saying that's RFK. I have no idea if that's RFK. None. I'm just saying it is long right there and then short. That's the only thing. Maybe there's someone else that you can, that can shorten that. And they said, I don't want to be on that. It's like, yeah, I don't want to be on this one, dude. And it's like, oh, well, too bad. So next one. Have you been working on the issue with Candace Owens? We need to blackmail her faster. Klatchik has been very affected. Tell Armstrong to send the photographer to follow her and also follow her husband. Then Armstrong Williams want to know if they need to focus on Candace or her, and says, Candace first. I am so angry at her that I can't stop thinking. If the things she says about Klatchik are taken seriously, they will investigate the use of money in the election campaign. We have to bring out material to destroy her reputation before it gets out. Oh, hey, these guys sound like the good guys, right? So that was the original thing. Okay, now check this out. Threatening texts from a number linked to Armstrong Williams corroborate Project Veritas report on targeting Candace Owens. Barr is already running out of patience. Take a good hard look at what happened to Charlie Kirk and maybe you'll think twice. Okay. So this is apparently who this is. Armstrong Williams from the Baltimore Sun. Okay. And take a look at this. Check this, dude. Do you think I didn't notice you handed our text messages about Candace over to Veritas? You're being far too brazen. I know you're without a lawyer. How on earth do you think pulling a stunt like that helps you? You better remember every single day that you're only alive because of me and that you were never extradited because of me as well. The next time I see any of your messages leaked to Veritas, things are going to change. Barr is already running out of patience with your behavior. Be careful. Candace paying for your security these days, because if she isn't, she really ought to be. And now that you're on her team and act like you two of you are thick as thieves, you can pass along a message for me. Things won't end well for either of you if you keep this nonsense up. Just take a good hard look at what happened with Kirk and maybe you'll think twice. Say what, dude? What did you just say? Are you implicating yourself in that, right? Like, because there's plenty of ways to threaten that you're going to kill someone, right? Take a good hard look at what happened to Kirk. That is one that seems to be very specific. We did this one time with him. You think we can't get you? You think we can't get you? We got him, right? So yeah. I feel like I am going to actually edit in right now the first time I read that because it was on camera, and then we'll move on. Nonsense keeps up. Just take a good hard look at what happened to Kirk and maybe you'll think twice. What? What? And then... Reminder, following our reporting about corruption linked to Armstrong Williams, including operating an alleged visa scheme with former AG Bill Barr, FBI Director Cash failed to respond to our multiple comment requests and instead granted an exclusive interview to Armstrong Williams. What on earth is this, dude? Why are they not leading with, remember what happened? Okay, it is actually right there. Take a good hard look at what happened to Charlie Kirk and maybe you'll think twice. I can't believe that is literally on the screen in front of me. I can't believe it. I literally can't believe it. So that's that. So now I want to show you this story about the operation and someone you should be apparently looking twice at for multiple reasons. So watch what Candace said yesterday, and then I'm going to remind you of a very bizarre moment from Kash Patel.
Included military men from the Minot Air Force Base, and that joint exercise took place in Minnesota at Camp Ripley, and that ran just for a couple of days until August 27th, and that was known as Operation Valhalla, okay? Random 3-day exercise with civilians, and I was wondering if the French Legionnaires that were in California maybe jumped right into activities going on with these civilians at Camp Ripley. But I typoed on X and I wrote Camp Riley, okay? So I wrote, it's not a coincidence that the French legionnaires were in the United States training with our Marines for 3 weeks. And when those 3 weeks ended in California, another military training exercise began alongside civilians at Camp Riley in Minnesota. Should have said Ripley.
Yeah, they got her on that. They got her, They're like, excuse me. Anybody who has any faith in Candace Owens should know there's no such thing as Camp Riley in Minnesota. Unbelievable. You're all... Is there a place called Camp Ripley where there was the exact joint exercise that she mentioned? They're all what? You're all... I'm just saying, like, is there another base where the exact thing she described happened? That's not relevant. Okay, there's no such thing as Camp Ripley. That's not real. I can't assess anything else about this if she's talking about a base that doesn't exist. You're all right, but if you added a P to the word that she said, so like Ripley instead of Riley, like would that make what she said factually accurate? It's like I don't know. I could never speculate. I could never speculate on that because she didn't, and Camp Riley doesn't exist. So that is literally how they fact checked her. Just FYI. Now, what were we talking about? We're talking about Operation Valhalla, right? Remember Operation Valhalla? No, you don't? Right. Okay. Well, here, let me fill you in on that. So this is 2 weeks later after Charlie Kirk gets murdered.
Find and apprehend whatever suspects were involved in this crime. Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch. And I'll see you in Valhalla.
So everyone thought that was pretty weird when it happened. I happened to have been the last person on earth to see it. And coincidentally, my friend Nate from Valhalla VFT YouTube channel, I'm sure you guys have all seen it. Speaking of which, he is up for a Gundy for most influential gun creator of the year. And you should go vote for him. And you should definitely do that. So, but anyway, Valhalla is the one who told me about it. He's like, how have you not seen this? And I'm like, I have no idea. He's like, okay, play it. And I saw it and I was like, that's weird. That is pretty weird. Valhalla, as I understand it, is for European, like pagan religion for like Scandinavians and Norwegians and Denmark. Vikings, I think, is who goes to Valhalla. But certainly it's a warrior thing, right? Like it's a warrior culture, pagan warrior religion. So everyone thought that was pretty ridiculous when Kash Patel was like, see you in Valhalla. You're like, are you a pagan? Are you like, what? What's happening? But it kind of makes sense when you consider that there was Operation Valhalla a couple weeks before this with some mystery civilians, French Foreign Legion and whoever else, because listen, intelligence people, they love throwing it in your face. Did you know that the original operation name when the United States was going to invade Cuba, okay, which I believe that ended up getting called off. But when we were going to invade Cuba during the Cuban Missile Crisis, you know what that operation was called? It was a training exercise, and they called it Operation Ortsack. And some journalist is like, yeah, that's Castro spelled backwards. They're like, what? They're like, it spells Castro backwards. Are you guys invading Cuba? No, of course I'm not invading Cuba. This is an Operation Joint Training Exercise that you are, doing right there, which is spelled, is the new dictator we know you want to remove in Cuba's name spelled backwards. I don't know who makes these names, but really that is the name that they gave it. Castro spelled backwards. Super clandestine. Genius. Absolutely genius. Now that kind of shit is exactly how I knew when you started getting into the USAID, financials, and they were talking about what they were sending money to people for. It's like when they were all, you're not going to believe this. Okay. We sent $24 million to Pakistan for transgender dance classes. Can you believe it? I'm like, no, they didn't. It's like, yes, they did. There's a line item right there. I'm like, no, they did not. Okay. They wrote that, but they sent that $20 million to some illicit destination that they did not want you to know what it was actually for. This is an intelligence, slush fund, a gigantic one. And that's what they do. When the Enron scandal happened, little known fact, if you haven't looked into that case very deeply, the original scandal between or at Enron before the entire company imploded, there was an incident where these traders were taking the funds they were responsible for and they were betting on making these huge bets on oil futures, and they kept winning, right? Except then they started losing, right? And they were winning and they were extracting money, sending it to themselves. They were like making these huge bets. When they lost, they just cooked the books. And Kenneth Lay found out about it, the CEO of Enron at the time, and he didn't even. Not only did he not reprimand them, he told them, like, just keep on going, guys. But when they looked into the books of what they were doing, they were giving all of their, like, when they were making these wires and stuff, it was like Operation Death Star. It was like Luke Skywalker. They gave him these ridiculous Star Wars based names. Like, this is like these people. This is what they like doing, man. They like just throwing it out there, like, nah, 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 nah. We're above the law. See you in Valhalla, right, Charlie? Hey, see you in Valhalla, Charlie. Because you're alive and you're just going to go on JD's plane and meet us in Minnesota where we had Operation Valhalla, and then we're going to send you to wherever. And that explains why everyone's been acting so freaking weird, dude. Why none of the TPUSA people, regardless of whether they were involved or not, just seem to like not be sad. And his wife seems to like not be broken. And like his key guy, Mikey McCoy, is like trying so hard. I'll never recover. I will never recover from this. Like, I was joking, I've been joking all along. I'm still joking about him being alive. I think. Makes a lot more sense than Cash having him killed, like some kind of, I don't know. Now, then there's this story, okay, where we find out that Charlie is the one who reached out to Candace about her zipping her lips about Brigitte Macron. Okay. Now that seems very relevant if we are to believe that the French Foreign Legion is the one who took her out, right? They were there on site or whatever. Okay. If that's what happened, then him being in between, like him being the one, they're all, you need to make her stop. He's like, I've got it. They're all, you better got it. Okay. You better got it. So let's take a look at that, and then we'll take a look at this blackmail because this is wild. Okay, watch this a little bit here.
Up at the White House has asked me to ask you if, as a favor, you could stop speaking about Brigitte Macron.
As a favor to whom? Trump? Charlie? Because they're friends? They sent Candace's friend to request a favor?
Excuse me? I'm not kidding when I say that in the myriad of possibilities that were floating through my brain about what this phone call was going to be about, that was not one of them. So I'm just kind of having to redirect, and I'm going, oh, what were you talking about? To be clear, we had, ironically, as a podcast, we had just ended our Brigitte Macron series 4 days earlier on February 20th. That's when we released the last episode, which was the epilogue. So I'm going, that doesn't make sense. Why am I getting this phone call now? And obviously, I ask for a little more information. I say, who specifically called you? And that friend of mine says, it's somebody that has the president's ear. This is somebody important. So I'm thinking, okay, this is advisor, Susie Wiles, I don't know. And I tell my friend, go back to that person and just say, I said no. It's free speech. This is obviously an important story to me. The implications here are pretty severe about what I've uncovered. So no deal.
This part made me smile because that's exactly...
That is hilarious because it's someone who has the president's ear. It's like, who knew that he meant that literally, right? Because the president has the president's ear, right? And it turned out that it was the president who was asking, right? So
I go into my husband's office and I tell him what just happened. And honestly, I'm kind of laughing at the absurdity of it because I hadn't thought beyond what may have happened. And then I do what I always do just in case. I call Noah, I call the lawyer, and I'm like, hey, I know Macron's, sending us legal letters. Just want you to add this onto the pile that somebody at the White House is asking me to just stop speaking about Brigitte Macron. Cool. We kind of have a laugh about it, run it different ways. Are we going to expect something else to be delivered to my door? Another threat, implicit threat from the Macrons, somebody calling in a favor, who knows, whatever. Anyways, we do dinner. And I am kind of feeling bad about my pregnant attitude on the phone call, because I was, 8 weeks away from birth. And I was a bit shorter on the phone than I would have been if
with Charlie
there wasn't like a growing infant foot that's lodged under my lung. And this person has been very good to me in the past. And so I resolved that before I go to bed, I'll phone him back and have a much more calm conversation. Not that I was rude, but just like, hey, what's this actually about? And so I did.
He was very good to me in the past. So obviously she's trying to...
Anyways, I am in awe. A lot of thoughts are running through my mind.
Hang on, guys. I have an important phone call. Sorry about that, guys. Let's continue.
What could this possibly be about? And when I call that person back, they tell me something that is even stranger. They say, look, I again am the messenger here. What I was told from somebody that's pretty high up at the White House is that Emmanuel Macron is holding up negotiations to end the Russian and Ukrainian war unless you stop speaking about his wife. And I'm just going, what? What are you saying? What are we even speaking about? What do you mean negotiations between Russia and Ukraine? I'm just like, looking into a story at my house.
It's like a National Enquirer story. She's like, listen, I'm hearing rumors that the First Lady of France might be a dude. It's like, are you serious? The kind of people that are paying attention to this are like, a dude, a bunch of slap dicks like me, just like, whoa, that's crazy. Can you believe it, you guys? It's like, no, I mean, I kind of can't. It's like, well, you should be paying attention to this Candace story because that's a dude. They're all, wow. What are you doing later? I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to make some spaghetti and I might go to jiu-jitsu or something. I don't know. What are you doing? They're all nothing important, literally nothing important. Just living this little life. Might make a video or something, right? We have no effect on anything. It's like, right. And like the Macrons are all, we need to shut this story down now. My God. All these people listening to this story are going to, I don't know. They're all, let's hold up this peace negotiation in Ukraine. They're like, right, but like 10 to, like, I don't even know. How many thousands of people are dying? It's irrelevant. This is our little secret. You don't get to decide when the world finds out that we may or may not be involved in a ring of people who like to diddle little kids. What? Oh man, I just got an anxiety attack. Did I say too much? I'm not worried about them. I'm more worried about yellow icons, right? Yeah. By diddle, I meant help kids draw, right? Diddle little kids means like help little kids draw paintings and such. All right. That's probably enough for that story. You guys, it's weird that it was Charlie, dude. Feel like Brigitte might have done it.